So what if I told you Pokemon Day has already started early? So by this point we've all heard and seen the announcement that Kanto is returning this Pokemon Day with Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. And that one is very big. Kanto coming back isn't just another re-release, it's a callback to the franchise's biggest milestone and beginning. And for me it's even more interesting because I've never actually played these games myself, and I will be picking one of them up. And the oldest Pokemon title I've actually ever touched was Pokemon Yellow. So the fact that this drops before Pokemon Day even officially kicks off only raises the bar for the entire community. If they're leading with something this nostalgic and impactful, it makes you seriously wonder what Pokemon Company has planned for February 27th. And honestly, the best part is they're only $20 each, which is way cheaper than the original cartridges are actually selling for right now, even the pre-owned ones. So not only is it a nostalgic return, it's finally affordable to everyone. And whether that price feels worth it really depends on what you're looking for. If you're new to the Pokemon series or haven't experienced Kanto since Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, this is an easy way to jump in. But if you're tired of Kanto or just not into that classic 2D style anymore, that's completely fair as well. There's always something new coming, especially this Pokemon Day. And at the end of the day, we all enjoy different parts of this franchise. Pokemon is incredibly diverse, and that's honestly a blessing for this community. Anyway, today's video is all about my expectations for Pokemon Day, and this is just the beginning. We might see some pretty big things. So if they're willing to open Pokemon Day with Kanto, then what is the real headliner? So that brings us to Gen 10. It's now been just over 3 years since Gen 9 debuted with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which usually means this is time for a new generation of Pokemon, and with the release cycle lining up almost perfectly, plus the Pokemon Company marketing this anniversary as their biggest celebration yet, it's difficult to ignore what that implies. When messaging becomes more ambitious and the spotlight burns brighter, it usually means something meaningful is waiting behind the curtain. And with tons of leaks from last year, plus games that were announced but never given release dates, or even follow-up news, it really feels like everything has been building up to this specific moment. So with everything building up to this specific moment, and all signs pointing towards major Gen 10 news being announced, whether it's a full reveal, cinematic teaser, or even just a little announcement, this feels like a defining moment in Pokemon's history, a chance not to just introduce something new, but to re-establish confidence, correct past missteps, and remind everyone exactly why Pokemon earned its place at the top. And if everything really is lining up for Gen 10, the natural expectations start to follow. So my expectations for this event are pretty clear. First, I really want to see news on Pokemon Champions. There's a massive audience waiting for a true Pokemon battle simulator, especially one that unifies modern mechanics, competitive formats, and possibly even Gen 10 integrations. A centralized platform like that could seriously reshape the competitive scene of Pokemon, making it more streamlined and accessible while still preserving the strategy and depth longtime players love. Secondly, I'm hoping that we see more classic titles return or be ported over to the Switch too, specifically Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire. Those are the very first Pokemon games I ever played, and I know that's the case for a lot of people. Bringing them to modern systems wouldn't just be nostalgia play, it would let an entire generation relive the region that started all for them, this time without needing the original hardware like the Game Boy, which could be pricey nowadays. And finally, it all comes circling back to Gen 10's full reveal and what it's actually capable of. There have been countless rumors and alleged early builds floating around online, such as Twitter, showing things like fully realized world map in both 3D and traditional layouts such as like a map form, early UI battle concepts, experimental battle mechanics. Some of it is very hard to actually interpret, but the ambition behind it feels very real. Other rumors point towards deep open world systems like ocean traversal and diving, potential voice acting, and even procedural generated elements such as dynamically generated islands. Even the legendary Pokemon are rumored to take a direction we have yet to see before. So if even part of this ends up being true, and if the Pokemon Company truly leans into that ambition, Gen 10 could be more than just a release, it could be a reset moment. A chance to evolve the formula, rebuild confidence, and step into a brand new era of Pokemon, more towards modernized technology and the use of our modernized technology. But as exciting as all this sounds, history gives us a reason to stay grounded. We've seen it happen before. Features that appear ambitious in early builds or concepts do not always make it to the final release. With titles like Pokemon Sword and Shield and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, there were clear ideas that felt larger in scope than were ultimately shipped. Whether it came down to time restraint, hardware limitations, or overall development priorities, Pokemon has a pattern of scaling back some of its experimental ambitions before the launch of the game, and since the presence is only 25 minutes, who knows what's going to be shown. And because of that, I'm also tempering my expectations when it comes to battle systems. I don't expect fully active, real-time inspired style introduced in Pokemon Legends EA to fully carry over into Gen 10. More realistically, we'll probably see a refined evolution of the traditional turn-based system, something faster, smoother, and more modern, but still built on the foundation that defines Pokemon's identity. And honestly, that's what makes this Pokemon Day so important. This isn't just another announcement cycle, it's a turning point, a chance for Pokemon Company to show the future of the franchise and prove that the generation is already ready to meet the expectations of the players who grew up with it. So now the question is, what do you think is going to happen on Pokemon Day? I'll be revisiting all of this after the event to break down what was revealed, what surprised, and what means going forward, what was deleted or dropped. And until then, drop your predictions below, and I'll see you guys after Pokemon Day.